You know, in the high stakes world of legal contracts, just one wrong word can stop everything cold. Today, we're going to dive into a really fascinating legal trap called a pathological arbitration clause, and it's all based on an amazing analysis from advocate Edward Mwalongo. So, let's start with a puzzle. Imagine you have a treasure map, but the X marks a spot that just doesn't exist. Pretty useless, right? Well, now imagine that map is a multi-million-dollar contract. This isn't just a hypothetical. It's a real problem that can totally sink a legal dispute before it even gets started. Over 167 million Tanzanian shillings. That is a lot of money. And that was the amount at the center of a dispute between Lipton Teas Tanzania and CHBSLT. It was a major conflict that just hit a brick wall right at the beginning. And the reason why is pretty wild. Get this, the contract, the very document that was supposed to guide them, sent them to an organization that literally did not exist. That one tiny, flawed clause created this bizarre legal paradox. I mean, how are you supposed to follow instructions that are impossible? It was like the path to solving their problem had just disappeared. So, what do you even call a broken clause like this? Well, the legal world has a name for it. And honestly, it's a perfect name. Let's diagnose the issue. They're called pathological clauses. Yeah, like a disease. The term was actually coined way back in 1974, and it stuck around because it's so fitting. These clauses are, in essence, sick. They infect the contract, and they mess up the entire dispute resolution system, which is supposed to be this clear, healthy way to find a solution. And look, this isn't just some dusty old legal theory that law professors argue about. As legal expert Nayeri Balgosian points out, these things pop up all the time. They're a frequent problem, causing huge delays and costing people a ton of money in the real world. Okay, so if a clause can be sick, what does a healthy one look like? Well, the guy who came up with the term, Frederick Seaman, laid out these 4 key functions. A healthy clause, number 1, has to be mandatory. Number 2, it keeps you out of the main court system at first. 3, it lays out a clear process. And 4, it helps you get things sorted out fast. If it fails at any of these, you've got a problem. So the symptoms of these sick clauses are pretty clear once you know what to look for. You've got the big one, like in the Lipton case, referencing a phantom organization. Or maybe the clause is super vague about what it even covers. Or even worse, it gives you totally conflicting instructions, like telling you to go to arbitration and to court at the same time. It's a mess. So we've diagnosed the disease. Now let's talk about the cure. Let's go back to our Lipton Teas case. How did the Tanzanian court deal with this sick contract? Did they just let the whole thing die on the table, or did they decide to play doctor? The court had this huge choice to make. Do they look at the contract and say, well, the text is broken, so tough luck? Or do they look past the mistake and try to honor what the 2 companies clearly wanted to do in the first place, which was solve their problem through arbitration? And this decision wasn't just made in a vacuum. The court was actually guided by a bigger national policy. You see, Tanzania's legal system is very pro-arbitration. The laws actively encourage it as a way to solve disputes, really trying to keep conflicts out of the traditional court system whenever possible. And wow, this quote from the judge says it all. Their goal wasn't just to throw the clause out, it was to actively cure it. They saw their job as fixing the mistake, not punishing the companies for making it. That's a powerful stance. So here's how they performed that legal surgery. The court basically salvaged the whole thing. They fixed that broken compass by pointing the 2 parties to a real established institution, the National Construction Council. It had the rules, it had the people, it could handle the case. And just like that, the original plan to arbitrate was saved. Okay, so that's what happened in Tanzania. But what about the rest of the world? Would a court in another country have done the same thing? Let's pull up the global map and take a look. When you look around the world, you see this really clear divide. In one camp, you've got these pro-arbitration places like Tanzania, France, and Singapore. Their courts will bend over backwards to try and save a broken clause because they want to respect what the parties originally wanted. But in the other camp, you have places like the UAE, which take a much stricter look. If the clause isn't perfect, they're way more likely to just toss it out and send everyone to regular court. And really, that's the fundamental difference, isn't it? It all comes down to what you value more. The spirit of the agreement, what the people actually intended to do, or the literal but flawed words that are written on the page. There's no single right answer. It really just depends on the legal philosophy of where you are. All of this legal drama brings up a really practical question for anybody who's ever going to sign a contract. How do we avoid this mess in the first place? What's the preventative medicine here? Well, you know the crazy thing? These huge, expensive problems usually don't come from some brilliant but evil legal strategy. Nope, it's usually just plain old human error. It's midnight drafting, rushing to get something done, or just not getting the right legal advice. A simple, tired mistake made at 2 in the morning can end up costing a million. But here's the good news. Prevention is actually pretty simple. The best thing you can do is just use the standard pre-approved clauses from the big arbitration institutions. Don't try to reinvent the wheel. Be super clear about the important details, where it's all going to happen, what the rules are, and what language you'll use. Clarity is your absolute best defense. And this whole story brings us to our last really thought-provoking question. When a judge steps in to fix a mistake in a private contract, like they did in Tanzania, are they helping the parties get what they actually wanted, which enhances their freedom? Or are they overstepping, rewriting a deal they weren't part of, and actually infringing on that freedom? It's a really interesting debate to think about. That debate really gets to the heart of what a contract even is. Our entire deep dive today was made possible by that fantastic analysis from advocate Edward Mwalongo, so a huge thank you to him for giving us the foundation for this explainer. If you want to learn more, his contact information is right there on the screen.